Hello, you guys, and welcome to Discovering Erika. Today is a special episode because we have a special guest. And if you haven't noticed, this little beauty sitting next to me, it's my mother. And so a lot of people talk about how I got into traveling, and we're going to go to the origin of where this passion for travel originated from. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her travels because she's been in quite a few places too. So, Mom, tell them, when did you first discover your love for traveling?
I just like to go and see things and just know what's going on with other people and see how other people live. But I really when I started traveling, I started working for a conference office, Southeastern Conference, and they would send us on different trips for different meetings.
And I remember that because we were young, she would take us everywhere she went, so we got a chance to experience a lot of different places.
That's right. And so then the first trip I took was to the Grand Bahama Islands.
Ooh, that was a cruise, and it was wonderful.
And I took Erika with me, and we went on a boat. On a ship, and we had a wonderful time. That was our first experience on a boat. And
Mom, let me ask you this: do you remember that boat ride back?
What happened?
It rained, and that boat
tossed,
and it rocked so much that they like closed the deck, so you couldn't even go outside. So the water was like hitting up on the deck. That's the last cruise I've ever been.
Yes, and that was to out of Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
And we went to the Grand Bahama Islands. That was the first trip. The next trip I took was to Jamaica. My friend got married in Jamaica. I'd never been to Jamaica before. I went to what was the name of the place? I forgot the name.
Miss Pauline.
Yeah, Miss Pauline got married.
I remember you going, but I don't remember where it was.
Yes. I forgot exactly where it was.
Jamaica's beautiful.
Yeah,
a lot of people
we
go to
went to
Jamaica.
and stayed there for about a week, and that was my second trip. And the third trip, my husband and I went to Dominican Republic.
That's right, you guys. She took a mission trip, and that was just a couple years ago. And so, with her permission, later on in this, maybe she'll tell you how old she is, but this was a couple years ago. So it was pretty recent, maybe about 5 years ago. About 5 years ago, they went on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. Tell us, Mom, what did you do when you were there?
We were the people that registered all the folk that needed to be seen by the doctors and the nurses. And once we registered them, put their armbands on, and they went on to the kiosk, and the kiosk sent them where they needed to go. So it was fun because we met people that spoke Spanish and people that spoke French, and we didn't speak either of those languages. So we had to have interpreters to interpret for us their names and addresses and so on. But it was a fun thing to do. We enjoyed it. We were there for about a week.
And I think she's starting this story pretty late because I would consider her first trip is when you were a young person and you left Florida and moved to New York.
Oh yes, that's right.
So that was a very long trip, a long way from home, and she spent many years up in New York. So I think that kind of helped horn the love of going and seeing new places, because Florida is very different from New York.
Yes,
and so it's like a different vibe, a different speed, different type of people.
That's correct.
And I think that probably was the first awakening to understanding that where the people are different everywhere you go. Because in Florida, it's south, but it's not southern, if that makes any sense. A lot of people think of southern is in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, the Carolinas, and Florida's more southern than that, but we're not southern, right? We're like a melting pot, almost like New York, because you got a lot of Haitians, Jamaicans, Cubans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. So we have our own little melting pot. And when you go to New York, you have a lot of your Irish and a lot of European people over there, as well as Puerto Ricans and stuff like that. So it's like same but different, different speed, different type of people, different kind of atmosphere, but the same folk migrating back and forth. So I would start back there, but go ahead and finish, Mom. After the Dominican Republic,
then I had the opportunity to go to Africa. I always wanted to go to Africa. They always talked about the motherland.
And when did you go to Africa?
Last year.
No, you didn't. You went this summer.
Was it last year?
She went in May.
I'm thinking last year. You're right.
Yeah, she went in May.
May and June. We got back in June. So we were there for about 14 days, and that was a wonderful experience. The experience of a lifetime. We went through about 9 different airports to get where we're going. I went almost to Germany, up to the Netherlands, which was the next country over would be Germany. And we had to stay there for a layover. And then we came on down to Cape Town, South Africa. And we stayed there for about 4 days. And then we went up to Johannesburg, and then Zimbabwe. And from Zimbabwe, we got a bus and went up to Victoria Falls. And
oh man, I bet you that is amazing.
Quite an experience. Went to a little town, they call it Cape Town. It was just a little town. It was a township. They called it a township. And it was like a little city. And one grocery store and, flea market type selling products that they made.
Now let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Out of that whole trip, what was the one thing that was like mind-blowing for you? And what is the one thing you wish you could have saw but you didn't get a chance to see?
The thing that was mind-blowing to me was, there were several of us that went to church. And while we were at church, they asked us to participate on the program. And I did the prayer, and the other ladies did, whatever they asked them to do. And after church, during the church, the guy said that they needed, the lights went off. That's what happened. The lights went off while we were in church. And he said the reason the lights go off is because they turn them off every day at noon. And if they had a generator or solar panels, mm-hmm. that they would have their own electricity. So he said they needed $4,000 to do that.
Is that American money?
$40,000. $40,000 to do that.
Is that American money?
No, that's
$40,000?
their money. That's their money. And so we listened to what they were saying, and the kids came up during the same service, and there was a whole lot of kids, and they said the kids needed clothes because it was winter time while we were there. And so the kids needed like shoes, because some of them had flip-flops on. They needed shoes and sweaters and hats and jackets and so on. And he says, if you can, next week, bring the children something. Bring something for one child, or as many children as you can. So we heard all of this. So we're in this little room getting ready to go for dinner. And one of the guys asked, he says, oh, you said you all need $40,000. He said, that would be about $2,500 American money, right? So he said, yes. So he says, we're going to see if we can get that money together for you. So one lady came in, because she wasn't in the room when we were talking about it. And she said, what are y'all talking about? So we told her what we were talking about. She said, oh, I'll pay that. So she sent back the $2,500 they needed to get the solar panels.
And that's like no money.
And that was a mission. Then it became a mission trip for us, because we hadn't planned to do this. But we went there and we saw a need, and we helped. We helped out. And so the guy says, well, since she's going to pay for the solar panels and the generator, we can pay for the kids some clothes. So he says, what I'm going to do is, he says, everybody decide in your heart what you'd like to send back, what you'd like to contribute. And you just send it back. We'll be responsible to get it back to them. So they gave us their routing number and their account number. When we got back, the lady that was in charge collected the money from us. She said she got over $4,000 from those of us who had come back.
That is fantastic.
In their money, I think that was about $7,500 or $7,000 in their money. And so they sent us a video showing us the generator they bought. They showed us the children's clothes. They showed us distributing the children's clothes to the kids. They got jackets and sweaters and hats and shoes and tennis shoes and regular boots, and they sent us videos back to make sure that we knew that they took that money and did what they were supposed to do with it. So that trip turned out to be a mission trip for us.
Look at you, two mission trips under your belt.
That was really wonderful.
Now, while you were there, is there anything you wish you would have got a chance to see?
Yes, definitely. When I look at YouTube, I always see the people at the marketplace shopping, buying, fruits and vegetables and clothes and all kinds of things. And I wanted to see that. I wanted to be a part. I wanted to go there and buy something, but they never took us to a marketplace.
Like the village type marketplace. Right. They took you to touristy places.
That's right. They took us to a place it was like a mall, and it was, a variety of places, things you can buy there. But I wanted to go to the village.
You wanted to go where the people were.
That's right. And they also didn't take us where the huts were. People lived, like we say country, they lived in the village. I wanted to see how the village people lived. But we saw people, but we didn't go to the village. We were mostly in town, because Cape Town is a modern town, you know, and Zimbabwe is too, Johannesburg. So we just didn't get a chance to see those kind of things, but that's what I would have wanted to see had we had the opportunity.
Do you want to share with them how old you are?
Yes. I got to tell you this too. When I went on the mission trip, I had just had an operation on my right knee to have a knee replacement.
So let me interject. When I got back last year, and I think that's why she took the trip last year, because when I came back last year, she said, Eri, that's what they called me, Eri. Eri, I'm getting my knee replacement and I'm going to need your help. So I was your nurse for the time that she got her knee replacement before we left. So I was able to kind of help take care of her and do stuff for her. And then right after she got better, we left, and then she left. And so, Mom, I want to encourage people, because a lot of times our viewers are always saying that they're too old to go places, or they're waiting till they retire, or they're trying to save up enough money. And as I always tell them, that I learned from you, that if we waited till we had enough money,
we'd never do anything.
We'd never go anywhere.
That's
So it's like one of those things where you have to just kind of seize the moment, and when the opportunity presents itself, go.
That's right.
Do it.
Well, let me tell you, I tried to think of an excuse where I wouldn't go, because I had my knee done. And my friend just listened to me. She didn't even comment. I said, you're not going to talk me off the ledge? She says, no. She said, because I went to Africa and I went on a cane. She said, you can go on a cane too. I said, well, okay. So I was 4 months out of a knee replacement. And I took my little cane and I went on to Africa, and I had a wonderful, wonderful time. Everybody was so
An
helpful.
experience of a lifetime.
That's right.
It really
Everybody
is.
was helpful. I had a wheelchair when I needed it. I had my cane when I needed it, and I didn't miss a beat. And I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I'm glad that I didn't back out of it. And we went in May, and we got back in June, and August was my birthday, and I turned 84 in August when I got back.
So she went on this trip to Africa at 83.
That's
so
right.
there, you are never too old
right.
to go anywhere and do anything.
Yes.
And she's, the crazy part is, I've asked her about her travels, but she's only told you all her international travels. This is not her travels within the States. She's been to the Grand Canyon. I remember as a kid, oh my goodness, we took the Greyhound bus when Greyhound bus was a thing, from Tampa, Florida to Phoenix, Arizona to see my grandfather, right?
That's right.
And that was like, oh my goodness, it felt like 3 or 4 days on the bus. And she would take us, and we would just go and travel and see things via the bus. We've been to Phoenix, Arizona. We saw my grandfather, and I remember him telling me I wanted to go outside and play, and it was like 1 o'clock. He was like, you can't go out there, it's too hot. You gotta wait till after 3. And I couldn't believe that. I thought that was ridiculous. Why can't you go out and play? But it was like 125 degrees. And she's been to California. Her and her friends had RV'd to Grand Canyon.
Everywhere.
They've had a wonderful time. She's been to Colorado, almost up to Canada. She's been quite a few places. So my mom has, as far as I've known, my lifetime, has always had the traveling bug.
That's right.
And
That's
even my dad, when he was alive, would pack us up on Friday night and drive us to Statesboro, Georgia from Tampa, for the weekend. He liked to go and travel and see relatives.
My brother now drives truck. He
Yes,
goes all over the
yes.
United
And my
States.
brother, now this just happened for him, because he was one of those people that very rarely left the city where he lived, and he got this job where he's driving like box trucks, like not 18-wheelers, but like box trucks. And he is now getting a chance to see Utah and Minnesota and Washington State and Oregon and all those places. And he is like, this is beautiful. This, just the United States, if you never left the United States, you would still never see everything. All these nooks and crannies of this beautiful place, from the starry night in the desert to these beautiful waterfalls in Washington State and Oregon. Yes, to the sunset in California, to New York, its own beauty, to Florida in its own beauty, to Idaho in its own beauty. It's like every place has these little hidden gems that you can go and see.
I gotta tell you one more thing before I want to tell you about my African trip. We went to safari. they had to talk me into going safari because I wasn't going out there with those wild animals.
She's not a fan of pets
right.
and stuff like that.
So they said, well, let's go in the middle of the day and you'll see them resting, you know. So I said, okay, I'll do that. We got on this truck that had no windows and no doors.
Just like you see on TV.
Just sitting there on those seats. And it was in the middle of the day, about 2 o'clock. And we got out there and we saw wild dogs, we saw zebras, we saw elephants, we saw lions. There was this 2 lions, two cubs, big ones. I guess they were ladies. And they were sitting down in the bushes by themselves. And we drove up near them and the driver got as close as he could. And he said, take pictures. So everybody was taking pictures of these lions. And all of a sudden, one of those lions got up and started walking toward the truck. Well, the driver knew that he should back up. So he started backing up slowly. And the more the driver backed up, the more the lion came toward the truck. Now, that lion could have decided to jump in that truck at any moment because all the windows and doors, there were no windows and doors. So he could have just jumped and ate all of us. But anyway, we backed up. And then when he thought he had backed us up far enough, he stopped. And the driver kept backing up. And the lion turned around and went on back and sat down with his sister. And they sat in the bushes. He said, enough of y'all taking pictures of us. And we got out of there. You hear me?
We're gonna have lunch in a few minutes if y'all don't back up.
We got out of there. So that was memorable for me. I saw all kinds of wild animals out in the jungle, you know, and we were out there until black dark. And I told that driver, I said, sir, would you please take me back to the hotel? But it was pitch black dark because there were no lights out there, and we were out in the jungle, in the woods, you know, like just bushes, high bushes. And so we got out of there, and there were gates. You had to go through these electrical gates to get out of there. We had to come through these electrical gates to get in. When we got to those gates, you can believe I was happy to go through those gates to get out of there because it was dark out there, no lights. Well, anyway, that was another experience.
That sounds awesome, Mom. And I'm glad that you got out of your comfort zone to do this video with me because she's not one to be photographed or videotaped and then placed on the internet. So she must really love me today to allow me to do this for our channel. But I just wanted to give you guys a little glimpse, a little history on where I got the love of travel from. If you're new to this channel, please go ahead on and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Grandbaby just woke up in the background, so we gotta wrap this sucker up. So I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. Comment on this video, and we want to encourage you to what, Mom? Keep going. Yeah, keep doing it.
Let's go do it.
Because there's a whole world out there waiting to be discovered by you. And we can't wait to get back on the road so we can bring you guys some more footage. And I just want to thank you guys for watching and showing my mom so much love. I know you will in the comment section, Mom. Thank you for coming on today.
Amen.
And being a part of the show. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.